done some questions about the markets, what's kind of happening. What I wanted to do is kind of quiz you a little bit on you as an agent, okay? So I'm going to hit you with some of the objections that some of my clients have put to me recently. They're very common. I get the objections very, very regular, but I just want to see how you would handle it in case I can pick up so many pointers from you, okay? So one that I've had recently was that the price of the property is too expensive compared to what else is available in different buildings. So they're comparing a different building with my unit and they're telling me my price is too high. How would you sort of overcome that?
Obviously what impacts price is, how is the property presented? Some buildings will maybe have like a gym and a pool within that building. Some you might need to travel to the next building to use the facility. So it depends what's available. Is the property vacant or is it tenanted? That also impacts price. There's quite a lot of factors.
Yeah, of course. And would you say that a vacant property or maybe one that's been let on short term compared to a long-term tenant, what kind of value would you say that would add to the property? If you have a buyer looking at maybe an end user, would they pay 5% more, 10% more compared to market, or would it be less? What do you think?
Well, that's a tricky question, because if the rental is low, then that property is not going to be worth as much to them as something that is vacant or on short term. I think 10% might be a bit too high if a property is vacant. Yeah. I think a seller could demand a bit more for a property that's available to move in straight away. But of course, that buyer might not want to move in. So, that's not going to be as, desirable to them. Course, yeah. So, there's a few factors that play into that.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the individuals, right, and what they're looking for, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, we get these kind of objections very, very regular in our job. But sometimes it's very individual to how we can communicate that back to the buyer. Some buyers will pay 5% more for the right property if it's vacant, whereas some people won't even consider offering if the property is not immediately vacant. So it leads me on to my next question, which is something I get quite often. At Lewis Dore, we tend to get very good price listings. Me, myself, you, other agents, we always try and inform the owners of the market. We make them aware of what's actually happening, and we get the listings at the right price. Now, what I tend to find is a lot of the inquiries that come in, even if they're the best price listing in the market, we still get people asking for distressed deals. How do you sort of answer potential investors that are asking for distressed deals?
If somebody is desperate to sell and their asking price is, more than 10% under current market transactions, right? That's distress. But I'm not really seeing many distressed properties available. No. Everyone wants to buy a property that they want to get a good deal and they want to make money on it, right? This is the aim of investing in property.
Exactly.
Yeah, it seems like everyone wants a distressed deal at the moment.
I want the distressed deals too. I want the ones that are so cheap. One thing I tell people is, look, the situation with investing in property, if we look at the big picture, it's not about, the only thing that matters is how much you buy the property for and then how much you sell it for. Everything in between is kind of irrelevant, okay? It doesn't really matter, because as long as you buy at the right price and you sell at the right price, everything in between, you're still going to get a rental, you're still going to get income, you can do short term, you can live in the property is still yours in that meantime. And then as long as you sell it at the right price, that's what matters. And some people kind of forget this. They look at this magic number that they might never achieve, and it stops them from potentially buying.
Maybe they just don't have the budget for the area that they're looking in. So, if they want something lower than market price, perhaps that's what they're calling distress. I don't know. But
I mean, I've got a good example for what a client I dealt with previously. So we had a property in the Palm Jumeirah, so it was one of the garden fronds. We went to view it. The property was listed at 12 million dirhams, which was at the time market value. So that's what they were going for, 12.5 million dirhams, depending on if they were renovated or not. Told the client, really good option, really good opportunity, buy it in now. We're seeing a big increase in the area in Palm Jumeirah. You're not really going to lose money on this. I'd be very shocked. She refused, told me that no, this is not a good deal. This is too expensive. I want it cheaper. I want more distressed. I said, no problem. I can't force you to buy. Around about 6 or 7 months later, I got a phone call from the same client telling me she'd seen that previous property relisted back online at 18 million dirhams. And she asked me why I didn't force her to buy it. So that was the conversation I had, was like, I can't make you buy.
We don't force anyone to do anything.
I can advise you, and I did advise, but sometimes you lose out. We don't know what the market's going to do. That's a freak incident, but we can't force people to buy, and we can't force them not to. So one of those things.
People have their own circumstances, and you know, it's up to them whether they want to move now or wait. And you know, there's always a risk with waiting. You know, is it going to go up or is it going to go down? This is the risk you take.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, you have clients that will tell you, I'm waiting for the market to drop. I'm waiting for it to fall. And then 6 months
like they
later,
know.
Yeah, and then 6 months later, they're saying, I wish I bought 6 months ago. And you're going, well, all we can do is advise. We told you could have been a good time to buy, and you didn't. So we keep doing that, keep sending them the data and go from there. Okay.
In terms of the buyers that you're talking to at the moment, what percentage of those are overseas, and what percentage are perhaps in country? Are you seeing more overseas investors at the minute?
Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit more questioning coming from overseas investors. So connections back in the UK, I'm getting leads coming through from people which are non-UAE numbers. So a lot of, recently I've had a lot of French, I've had a lot of Indian people that are looking to switch over across. So it's just, I'd probably say around about 10% of the leads recently have been out of country leads. So these are people that are just wanting to find out, can I invest in Dubai? How can I invest in Dubai? What's the situation? Is it a possibility? And then I've got a small percentage of people that have just moved here. They're still in between their home country and here. They're setting up and they're just wanting to get that information. So there's a big sort of shift right now where we're seeing first-time buyers buying immediately. So as they enter Dubai, they're buying within the first 6 months of living here. Whereas previously, I would have thought it would have been a little bit longer. Owners would have, potential buyers would have rented. They would have stayed here for maybe a year, 2 years before taking the time to invest.
Actually, I've noticed that. A couple of buyers that I've been speaking to from the UK, they've come in and gone into short-term rentals for literally 6 months or whatever, and are looking to buy straight away. That never used to really be the case.
No, it never. I mean, most of my previous clients, especially the expats that were here, were long-term. They were 5, 6 years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Now I'm seeing people that are here 2 weeks and they're saying, my money's coming next month, can you help me buy? So it's showing that there is a demand for people to just set up here immediately. Maybe they're selling up back home and they're getting rid of everything and they just
got the cash.
They got the cash ready to go, let's buy something. So yeah, it is a change. We're seeing a lot more people open to the idea of buying immediately, which is good. It shows confidence in the market, I guess. So Emma, what I wanted to do is just finish off with one question, which is your opinion on what you see happening in the market for Q2. So we're in Q2 now. What do you see happening for the rest of Q2?
Well, hopefully the prices will come down slightly, but I don't know. I think with the off-plan is still growing, delivering lots of projects. There's still demand for new property. I think the population growth, I think prices will continue to grow. I just don't think we'll see such a hike in prices. I think they will start to level off. Certainly rental prices over the last few months have dropped slightly.
Some say more than slightly, but some say slightly. It's a matter of opinion, I guess. But
different areas, different prices, though, isn't it? It depends on the area.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those markets currently where we're seeing sort of a little bit more. Some people use the word maturity. Some people use different terminology. But yeah, I mean, I'm similar to you. I do think the market will continue to grow over the years. Currently for Q2, I expect a little bit of a slowdown in terms of sales transactions and prices. I mean, currently I think it's around 64% of off-plan transactions are happening compared to the rest in secondary. That's making up a big chunk of the market. Whereas we look at properties in Dubai, we look at what's ready, right? We're looking at what we can actually see and touch and feel, not what we've bought on a piece of paper. So yeah, I mean, I do think the market will balance slightly over the next month or so. We will see a little bit of a slowdown. I think rental prices will start to even out a little bit, and we're not going to see the same double-digit increase that we've been seeing in the past. I do believe we will get back to that maybe in the future in certain areas, but for now it's going to be much more steady and progressive, in my opinions. Do you agree?
Do you not think with the, what is it, the numbers that they quoted, 1,000 new people moving to Dubai per day, do you not think that's going to, because those people want to move into somewhere right now, isn't that not going to push the prices up of the ready communities that are available?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it would indicate, right? There's, if they say 1,000 people are moving here each day, then that would indicate these people need somewhere to live. If there's a huge demand for rent and people are paying high rental amounts, the owners are then going to ask a high sale price. So the ROI is going to increase. So the owners are going to ask for a higher return to sell. That's just the way the market is. And that's what we've seen recently with these double-digit increases, where there was so much demand that owners could effectively ask what they felt like. They were dictating the market, right? So if we see the slowdown, could we maybe see it slow down a little bit? Owners become a little bit more cautious of asking high prices. They don't want their property to be sat empty for so long. You know, we have a big pile of stock coming to market. We spoke about JVC earlier. There's huge amounts of stock coming to JVC over the next few months and then a year. We need to make sure that we advise correctly, because like you said, some areas will be great and you'll still see increases. Some areas maybe not so much.
Off-plan has dominated the market for the last 2-3 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
that has surpassed secondary sales.
Yeah, for a
over
while
the last
now.
few years, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think prices will go up. I agree with you. I think the rental prices will level off. I don't think the 10-12% is going to be sustainable.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm hoping it will level off.
The way I see it and the way I look at the market is if they're telling us 1,000 people are coming to Dubai every single day, if the prices keep increasing, why are people still going to continue to move here? We have to look at the daily lives of people and what they can afford and how they can genuinely live. If they keep increasing the rents to levels where people can't afford, your average people can't afford to live, not the ultra high net worth, they're going to continue moving here because of the tax benefits. But for everyday people that just want a good life, they want to live, enjoy Dubai, what it has to offer, if we keep increasing it 10%, 20% per quarter, per year, whatever, it's going to go too fast and people will leave, I believe. So I think the market will level itself out. We'll still see growth like we see in other parts of the world, but I do think it will definitely slow down compared to the last 2 or 3 years.
It takes us back to that earlier discussion about people moving to the country and then buying straight away. So that's why I think the rental market will certainly stay,
I mean,
level off for
course,
sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if we're seeing an increase of investors coming to Dubai and wanting to purchase immediately instead of renting, that's going to have a long-term effect on tenants, because they're buying properties to live in, they're not buying properties to rent. So they're not going to be investors, they're going to be end users. And then we could see that having a knock-on effect to the long-term market as well. I agree. I concur. Simon, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your insights. And it was really good fun.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kyle Fitzgerald.
And I'm Emma Manchester.
And this is Real Estate by Lewis Dore.